how can a person get into casting?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. I love y'all. Y'all do your thing. I'm about to vanish. I'll be moving around, putting out fires.
You leave?
No. Like here, you'll have eyes on me.
I was like, I'm sorry, sir.
If you need me, wink away.
Sorry. This pixie is everything. Thank you so much. Snatch. Maybe want to cut my hair tomorrow.
Cinderella.
My hair, every time I see it. Nobody.
Okay.
She need a water. It's okay. You good? Welcome to Paths Season 2. I'm your host, Jael Benjamin, and this is our lovely guest, Britny Horton. Actor, phenomenal producer, former casting director. I don't even know what to say. Y'all go ahead and start clapping it up.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Honored.
We're honored to have you, honestly. Yes. And I think this time we're going to do a little something different.
Okay.
On this path, we are going to work our way backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So we want to know, what are you doing now that most excites you?
Okay.
And makes you feel special?
What am I doing now that most excites me and makes me feel special? Do you mean professionally or personally? Oh. Because I'm learning how to differentiate the two.
Yep. I would love both.
Okay. So professionally, what I'm doing now that excites me is I'm forming my own path, right? I am an abolitionist. And so anything that I do is centered on the freedom of our people. Yeah. And I've reached a place in my self-worth journey. If an opportunity comes along and it doesn't align with that mission, I am now in the space where I can say no, financially, experience-wise.
Yeah.
I'm not in the exposure phase. If it's exposure, no.
Yeah.
If it's not progressing my people, if it's not connected to that foundation that I have established for myself, then it's a no. Personally, what am I doing that is filling me is I am loving me.
Yes.
Yes. And I know we'll talk about it, but that has not always been the case.
Yeah.
You know, my journey has been about self-worth. It has been about seeing what other people see in me. And I've reached a place now where I understand I may never see it, that all I must do is be it. Wow. Right? All that I can do is be Britny. And I'm really enjoying figuring out what that means.
Wow.
It's my favorite thing to do, honey, because I'm fabulous.
Yes.
And I say that, I don't say that in like I'm fat, like I just said, self-worth is my journey, right? But I say that as someone who did not believe that, an iota of that at one point. And I have arrived to the place where I'm like, no. I bring a lot to this table. And I can build the table if I have to, right? That's already a superpower. And then I bring my spirit. I bring the way that I connect people. I bring my passion. I bring my ability to articulate ideas, even though I just stuttered, right? But I bring all of that to the table. So why not enjoy that? That's to be enjoyed. God made me, just like God made you, so that you can enjoy it. So why not enjoy it?
Absolutely. I think that's a great moment to pivot, right?
Okay, let's pivot.
I would like, if you could say some words to the actress that is on the beginning stages of self-love and feeling worthy. If you could say words directly to her, what would you say to her?
What I would say to you, the actor who is at this point in their journey where they are coming into themselves, they're learning how to celebrate themselves, they're learning how to see themselves. The first thing I would tell you is you're not alone. You are not different. You are not an alien, right? You're not every single person, whether they want to admit it or they do not, are on the same journey that you are on. So that anxiety that's telling you that you experiencing that by yourself, baby, that's a lie. Every single person is dealing with that some way, somehow. The second thing I would tell you to do is to look at all the things you've already done. If you look at, so today is, what's today?
Sunday,
The date.
October 9th.
If today is October 9th, 2022. If I look at Britney, October, whatever they just said today was, of 2021, I would notice a massive shift. And sometimes all it takes for you to do is to look at who you were yesterday to acknowledge who you are today and see how proud you would be of yourself. Something just happened. The production manager of this, I love God and I love ancestors, which I know we're going to talk about. I was getting my makeup done. And Kalima, who I've known for years, she showed me a picture of baby Britney. And I didn't understand in the moment why she even had the picture, but why she would show me that right now until this question. If baby Britney if that baby could see this woman, oh, she would be so proud. Sometimes we say we are our ancestors' wildest dreams without acknowledging that we are our baby's wildest dreams too.
Yeah. That's powerful.
She is incredibly proud of me. Just like if you were to really stop, take a seat, and think about who you were and think about who you are, you would notice that that baby is so proud of you. And always remember, here's two wisdom. I know, Christian, we got to move on. But here is some wisdom, two pieces of wisdom from my grandmother. She always said, you cannot stop the birds from flowing over your head, but you can control them from making a nest in your hair. And what that means is control your thoughts. Get ahead of them. Because half of the time, they're not telling you the truth. The second piece of advice is today is the tomorrow that you were worried about yesterday. So if you can get to today, when you were worried about today, yesterday, just imagine what you can do. The world is yours. And guess what else? Don't nobody know what they doing. We all figuring it out, right? So go, make the mistakes. I have burned so many bridges, or so I thought. I had burned so many bridges. I ruined so many relationships, or so I thought. And those same relationships that I would stress and cry because I ruined it. Why can't I get it right? Why can't I get it right? The anxiety just lying to me. Those are my mentors, friends, and guess what God did? He made them my peers. God establishes you. Your ancestors, they clear the path. They establish you. And if you take just 5 seconds a day to believe in you, you can establish you. That's what I would say.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I'm a hot mess.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure you're comfortable.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Y'all are so kind.
Yeah.
And can we just take a moment to just acknowledge that these are people of color. And I have been treated like royalty since I hit the parking lot. So thank you. It's incredibly kind.
Yeah. So, Britney,
Yes.
I see you about to have us start skipping down the path. 'Cause
Sorry.
I'm like, if that's how we starting off, if that's step one, we about to start running.
Let's do it.
On the topic of those who came before us, right? And bringing them into the room and into the space. I know you have a company that's actually named after your grandmother.
Yes.
Because you talked to us about Geraldine Pictures and just that space.
Yes, and you also mentioned Kirby Confidence before. So Kirby Confidence was a company that I started, actually, it kind of started when I was in Atlanta, but I didn't incorporate it or do anything like that. I made it like a podcast that I would do. And then what happened is I got my MFA, which I know we'll talk about, and I booked immediately after and was like, oh wait, I know enough about business in this industry to know that I need a company. Right? So I was like, okay, just make it Kirby Confidence, right? And we could talk more about that. But as I have been in LA, Kirby Confidence no longer felt authentic to me.
Yeah.
Because of many reasons. And so I was like, okay, well, what feels right? And my grandmother, Geraldine is my great-grandmother.
Okay.
And she lived in a different time, but she did have dreams of being an actress. And I love my grandmother because, my great-grandmother, because she could pass as white. She could have. And she refused, right? Like she refused even though it was dangerous for her. You know, we're from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, which is the equivalent to like backwoods Mississippi, right? Like extremely dangerous for her, but she was so loud in her blackness. Yeah. And that is the shoulder that I stand on. But she had dreams of being an actress, and it was a different time. She couldn't do it. And I don't know if you can see, but is this my camera? Yeah. I have a tattoo of a feather on my hand because when I was a child, my family wanted me to be a neurologist. At 13, they had said I was going to be the doctor of the family, right? And so then imagine this 13-year-old child saying, hey, I think I want to be an actress. Everybody was pissed. Okay, they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You said you wanted to work on brains, and now you want to tell stories. What does that mean? And my grandmother sat me down, and she said, live your life like a feather, because it takes its own path to the ground. And what a coincidence. This is called paths.
Wow, path quotable.
Yeah. And so when I was thinking of my company, which has two different branches to it, so one branch of Geraldine Pictures is my work as an actress, right? I pay anything I book as an actress, I pay myself through that because taxes, but we'll talk about that. And then the other branch of that is I own a company in which I provide administrative support to industry executives and also actors of color, right? So my niche is a people of color, right? And so basically what my expertise is I will take you from ground zero to a whole enterprise. And I really help actors to build their business and help you to think of what it means to actually effectively run a business every single day. Anyone, and there's things that we don't even think about. Anybody that works on your home, that's an employee, right? Anybody who works on your hair, you're an actor, that's an employee, right? So basically what I do is I help you take all the things that you think are miscellaneous, bring it into your business, and then help you to automate it so that you can, have tax benefits, right? And it's my passion to help Black people specifically with that because that's not the stuff that they teach us, right? So that's the second branch of Geraldine's Pictures.
Got you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So in walking backwards, right,
Mm-hmm.
from actor, could you tell us more of the experiences you had as a producer
Mm-hmm.
and where those experiences were?
Yeah. So I am not a traditional producer, as you would probably hear from anyone that would be on this show or in this space. So I decided I wanted to go corporate with it, which people don't ever know that that's a thing that you can do. So my title as of today is I'm a producer at a fintech company, and I'm not going to name them because it's not a Black company, and I told y'all I'm an abolitionist, right? But I'm a producer for them. So basically what that means is any video assets that come out of that company, I produce it. Our CEO is a celebrity in the fintech space, and so he has a podcast that's very popular, an award-winning podcast. I produce that. We have a talk show that's very popular because of this, I was about to say his name, because of this CEO. And so I produced that as well. And so I went a different route with it. Why did I do that? Because I made a mistake. I know we're working backwards and we'll talk about it, but I made a mistake when I was in Atlanta, and I introduced myself into that market professionally as a casting associate, not as an actor. And I learned from that. And so now that I'm in a new market, I said I'm not going to introduce myself as a producer in this market until I establish myself as the primary discipline, which is an actor. Right? And that has been to my benefit. Here, people know me as an actor. I'm still trying to change people's minds in Atlanta. So I knew that I wasn't going to come here and do that, but I knew that that's how I could make money and live how I likes to live, praise God, in LA. And it also meant benefits. It also meant that I got stock in the company. It also meant that I have equity in the company because it's fintech, right? And so I'm also very strategic. So this is a story about LA. Okay. I knew I have always targeted LA, but I come from poverty, right? Because I went corporate, and I'm telling you this because this is something we don't consider. I paid $0 to move to LA. And I started working immediately after graduating from an MFA program. So that basically what that means, I was broke for 3 years. That's what that means, right? I was broke for 3 years, and then I got a job because I was targeting LA. I'm very strategic. I was targeting LA. And so I got hired, and this company moved me out here because it was required that my job be here in a pandemic, right? And so, yeah, and that's important. That's important because I got to a place where it is imperative that I live for my primary dream for free.
Absolutely.
Even my first month's rent was paid for. So I didn't have the stress of surviving in LA, right? I didn't have any of that because I made somebody else pay for it. And those are things that we don't consider when we're planning out our lives and planning out our companies and our businesses and our dreams. You are not alone, and you don't have to do it alone, and you can capitalize off of capitalism.
Path quotable. You can capitalize off of capitalism.
And have to. Your ancestors paid for it, so you might as well benefit from it. Shoot.
You mentioned Atlanta.
Yes,
So a little birdie may have told me that you went to a HBCU in Atlanta.
I did.
And I just want to know more about that experience.
Spelman?
And yes.
Okay.
and how that, yes, absolutely. I want to know more about that experience. And I know even after, right, Spelman, you were at the University of Iowa.
Years later, yes.
Years later, you were at the University of Iowa to get your master's in fine arts. But then in between there, you went to London. I need to know this path because I'm like,
Okay.
we here in the South,
Yeah.
we're going all the way overseas, we're
we do.
international, and we're coming back to the States. So I just want to,
kind.
understand that path more.
Okay. So I went to Spelman, and when I went to Spelman, I thought I was going to be the senator of New York. I was very active as a child, as a teenager, not a child, as a teenager in politics in Rochester, New York. Like if you go home, my face is on a building, because that's how, and I'm not saying that because my face is on a, no, that's how active I was. And like the mayor at the time and the chief of police at the time wrote my recommendation letter to get to Spelman. So I was on track to be a politician. What happened, Neil, I did my first play, and that was all she wrote, right? I was like, what? This is it? And that was very early on. That was first semester, freshman year. And imagine me, I'm freshman class president at Spelman too, right? So I'm like, I don't even want to do this, but I had, you have to finish your term. And so then I quickly changed into a theater major.
Okay.
Also knowing, I don't know nothing about this. So while at Spelman, I had 34 internships my whole 4 years because I wanted to learn as much as I could, but also knowing that I had a passion for this, but I didn't really know anything about it. And flash forward, remember I just told y'all that 13-year-old Britney had the conversation with her family that she was going to be an actress, right? I was influenced into not going that path. That's why I went politics, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Right. So I find my way back to it as God and ancestors would have us to do, right? You always will find your way back to your right path. And so I have 34 internships while I'm there. While I'm there, I study in London at the British American Drama Academy. I also work for a short time in France. I 2 times at the Cannes Film Festival. And so I did things like that. It's important to know about Cannes Film Festival because that's how I was introduced to Gersh for the first time. Also important to know that one of those 34 internships at Spelman was at the Mayor's Office of Film and Entertainment at the City of Atlanta. Those are pins in the rest of my story, promise. So I graduate, or it's my senior year. This is another mistake I made for anybody that's an actor and wanting to be an actor. A mistake I made, it's my senior year, and I'm in a show called The Kink in My Hair. It has actress by the name of Terry J. Vaughn in it, has a singer by the name of Melanie Fiona and Angie Stone in it, and a casting director at Tyler Perry Studios, Raven Drummer, comes to see the show. After that, the director tells me, Raven would like to have a meeting with you. Well, nobody sat me down to say that she liked your acting. Nobody told me. So I went in there and I said to her, do you need an assistant? Because I'm getting ready to graduate. Mistake. It worked, God worked it out, but it was a mistake if acting was the thing, right? Yeah. So I go to the meeting with Raven and I become her assistant, right? So I graduate from Spelman and I immediately start working at Tyler Perry Studios. Why do I say that was a mistake? Because she stopped thinking of me as an actress right at that point. She met me as one, but then I became her casting assistant. I still not have successfully changed her mind. That's why it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm there. I hate casting. I'm depressed. There's a lot of people in this room that knows that. I am depressed, honey. And so I say, you know what? I like the agents. I like these agents. They nice. I could be an agent. Raven, I was a bold 20-something, right? Raven, write me a recommendation letter. I'm going to work at Gersh. Now, Gersh is one of the top agencies in our industry. And somehow, some way, I get it. They like that I'm this bold black girl, right? It was working for me. So I get it, and I'm there for 9 months. I'm an agent in training, and they have the conversation with me that it's time for me to become an agent. And I have to sit with the fact that I am depressed. I do not like this. And so I had to be honest and say, no, right? And so then I call Raven. She's like, doors back open. I go back to casting. Depressed, right? Highly suicidal depressed, right? Highly. But I can't tell anybody. There are people in this room that knew me from this time, and they may have been able to guess it, but I would never say it to them, right? I was struggling, and I did not want to live. That's how deeply I was struggling. So while I'm there, I get a call from the Alliance Theater, which is a Tony Award-winning theater there. And Charles Wright and B.B. Winans. Charles Wright, he did like Motown the musical on Broadway. B.B. is a gospel singer. They're doing his life story, and they need an assistant director. Will you come do it? Oh, I'm getting out of casting. Yes, I go and I do it. Then while I'm there, the mayor's office of film and entertainment calls. Remember, one of those internships. They call me. They're like, hey, we have an opening. Come do it. I do it. Yeah. Then George Pierre, a casting director. Now, of course, there's time passing. This ain't 2 weeks, y'all. Like, I'm a good worker. I was there for a while. George Pierre, he does like Star. He does a lot of stuff on TV when Star was a thing. He does like TV One, a whole lot of projects. Called me. He needed another casting associate. Yeah. So I went and I worked with him. I love George to this day because George said to me, you don't like doing this. And I was like, yes, I do. He was like, you're an actor. Go be an actor. And so I went, I auditioned for the second time for grad school. The first time I auditioned was years prior, and I only auditioned for Yale, and I was waitlisted. And I took that to mean I could not do this as a career. And for people that know like the grad schools and how they influence our industry, some people will say, girl, you was waitlisted for Yale. What is you talking about? But I had placed my ability to do this on getting into that school. And whether I be waitlisted or didn't make it past the first callback, I didn't get in. That's how my brain works. I'm a businesswoman, so I think in black and white. There is no gray with me. So I just saw you did not get in. Destroyed me. That was what was feeding that depression. So then, make a longer story short, I auditioned for grad schools again. My first call back was at Iowa. I had the same feeling at Iowa that I had when I visited Spelman, so I knew I was supposed to go there. So I didn't go to any more callbacks. Thank God it worked out, because I didn't go to anybody else's callback, because I just knew I was supposed to go there. I went there. I was supposed to go because I got a grant while I was there to fund my first film, and that helped me to launch my production company, Curvy Confidence, and we produced our first film in the pandemic that Christian was in. We're in post-production, it's coming. That Christian was in, and so it was meant to be because they funded my company, essentially. Wow. Remember, we can capitalize off capitalism. And then I graduate, I book a TV show, a commercial, and a film, kind of right after, and then I get the job to come out here. And how I know that it was God for me to be here, I've been here a year. I've been in acting class ever since I stepped foot, and I haven't paid for one.
I mean,
it's been covered with scholarship, right?
Wow.
I come from poverty, so lack mentality is an everyday journey for me. God told me you ain't gonna struggle. Should I say this? I don't know. So and I say this humbly, but I'm saying this so you can see how God will bless you when you're walking in your path. Between my company and my corporate job, I make over $10,000 a month. I have not struggled. And it's because I'm on my path.
Yeah.
My way. Staying true to myself and having grace for myself when I fall on that path. because I have grown to understand that there is no destination.
Yeah.
It's really just about the next step. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. So why am I worried about the end?
Yeah.
Why? Why are we worried about being famous in awards? That ain't none of your business. That's the end goal. That's the end. Just be focused on that next step, baby.
Yeah.
Because it'll get you further than the destination.
Yeah. And I think that's a great time for us to dive in because, I mean, you said a lot of,
It's a lot.
You gave us the entire path, and I just want to make sure that the students watching are very clear. You didn't leave being a casting director or associate because that was a terrible job. It just wasn't in your path. But for the students looking, they may not be familiar with what a casting associate or director is, or being a casting, like, could you break down those different jobs and those different roles and what they do?
Yes, so a casting director is someone who finds actors to be in television, film, or theater, right? They are the one who finds the actor. So just like if your mom or dad was applying for a job, they would submit a resume, and then someone from that company would call your mom and dad in for an interview. That is what a casting director does. Essentially, for the older students, a casting director is human resources. That's what they are. And then the casting associate is the casting director's right hand, right? So a casting director, if you were to think about it in terms of a company, a casting director would handle, like, we're talking to executives. They are the executive in the company. They're the boss, right? They are the one who goes out and gets the contracts. They're which means like the other projects or the other TV shows or the other movies. Then the casting associate runs the office, right? So the casting associate makes sure that auditions are set up, that deals are correct, that all the information is collected, that we write with SAG, which is the union. And then there's a casting assistant who kind of helps the associate and will serve as a reader. So like, when you come in and do an audition, you need to read with somebody. The casting assistant would be the one that does that with the actor.
Yeah, got you. So what were some of the valuable skills that you pulled out of that space that helped you be a better actress, or were there any transferable skills? Oh,
my goodness. So while casting was not my path, it's an amazing path, a lucrative path too. Yeah. Won't he do it? If there's money in casting, even if they tell you that there's not, there is. So some of the transferable skills, I really learned how to become a businesswoman in casting because I got a chance to operate with contracts. I got a chance to operate with the union, which is major. Even though I worked in a right-to-work state, which basically means that you don't have to do union projects. I was able to see what a union contract looked like. I was able to hear conversations to know how to close a union deal, right? I was able to learn about Taft-Hartleys and like paperwork and how to close an actor. I really learned what those conversations were and what those conversations were about, and how you have those conversations. How that has helped me and what my path is I have so much grace for my team. Because my manager and my agent as an actress, I have so much grace, but also I'm able to maintain my position as the CEO of Geraldine Pictures because I'm able to identify when you're telling me something that's not right, right? Or if you tell me that a casting director said something, I can go back and say, hey, Brad, that's my manager, say this in return, right? And then I can get what I need. And it maybe didn't work once because people are different, but anytime I've needed to pivot, I've really been able to lean on that experience.
Absolutely, and that's helpful for us. And I'm sure as a casting director and in that space, people probably did some wild things to get your attention, like the audience is doing right now. And so we're gonna open it up to get at least 3 questions in. We have 3. Got one right here.
Why do you like the ancestors?
Why do I like ancestors? Oh, what a beautiful question. So in 2020, I lost my dad and my brother 3 weeks apart. And I was desperate to maintain that relationship with them. And I grew up in the church, still in the church, so I'm not knocking anything. But they don't teach you about ancestors, even though it's so ingrained in our DNA. And that connection to ancestors has helped me to keep my dad and brother alive. I'm actually much closer to my brother in his current home than I was when he was here, strangely. But I love ancestors because they are the real connectors. Yeah. Whoever this is resonating with, it's not me. That's ancestors. And also, if you were to think about a path, right? God establishes the path, ancestors clear the way. And that's why I'm so grateful to them. Yes, baby.
You have a question?
Why do you love God?
Why do I love God? I love God because God teaches me how to love me.
Yeah.
When I'm not loving me, I'm not loving God. Because someone said this to me when I was going through a period of time where I was so mad at God because he took my dad and my brother 3 weeks apart. And it's like, that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me. And I said, God feels so distant. And she had me go like this. She said, Britney, go like this. And I was like, why? Because I had an attitude. She said, Britney, go like this. It's like, okay. She said, you've been thinking of God as something that's up here, but really this is God right here. God is just this close. And that's why I love God. Because he is truly, and I say he for y'all, I know that my God is a black woman with a pixie cut. But like, God is seriously the friend that sticks closer to a brother. The only thing I can lean on. And really the only reason why this, you're looking at God. I am looking at God. Oh my God, I'm looking at God. I'm looking at God and God's work. Yeah. Every time I hug Christian, I feel God. Every time I see Terrell with that energy and that light, how can you not love that? Because that is God.
Yeah. I think we got time for one more question.
Me knowing you, I know you are a wealth of knowledge. So I have several questions for you. First, being.
I'll make it quick, my answer, I promise.
Thank you. How can an actor who knows that training is imperative be very careful and cautious about being taken advantage of when they are going through their process? Because though training is necessary and training does cost money, how do you properly vet credible resources in order to become the best version of yourself?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So the best way to know that you are not being taken advantage of is any reputable training facility has a teacher who's working. If that teacher is not actively working or retired, and you can literally Google them and see a resume of credits that you recognize, it's probably not a good fit. Also, all you should be paying for is class. So I often see like, sign up, we'll take a class, and then we'll do headshots, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that. Scam. No, you pay for class. Mm-hmm. That is what, unless you decide to go to an MFA, I will always tell you, if you go to MFA, this is my camera. Do not pay for an MFA. You do not have to, it is free. And they pay you to be there. So even though I was broke, I was paid to be there, and I was getting free therapy for 3 years because the health insurance was immaculate, right? So you do not pay for an MFA, and you do not have to pay for a conservatory program. So the first step is make sure that whoever is your teacher has a resume. The second is to decide what kind of training do you want. Because you can go to a conservatory program, you can go do what I did, which is get your BFA or your BA. I don't have a BFA, I have a BA and an MFA. Or you could decide to do weekly classes, get into a studio, right? Do those things. Decide what kind of training that you want. The third thing you need to do is once you make that decision, release the shame about your decision, right? Because actors will carry shame because they don't got an MFA. Y'all, that was the most stressful degree I ever got. Okay? It was the most stressful degree I ever got. There is no shame. Everybody's path is different. Thank you, paths. Everybody's path is different. But then also, trust that intuition. You know when something isn't right, right? You know when something isn't right. And the only thing, I cannot stress this enough, the only thing that you pay for at a studio is the class. So make sure you do your due diligence by looking up the teacher, because that's important. Yeah. Understand what technique they are teaching you. Even if you don't know what the technique is, they should be able to say, here you are learning Chubbuck. Here you are learning Alexander. Here you are learning Grotowski. Here you are learning Alexander. I might have said that. Here you're learning classical. Here you're learning a technique that you can Google. And if you cannot, find somewhere else to go.
Absolutely. Very last question. How do you properly vet an agency when actors are seeking representation? And same with the scams with classes, there are scams with agencies as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. You only pay an agent when you get paid. And actually, you probably, depending on how that agency is ran, you don't even touch the money because they touch the money. So if an agent is asking you to pay them, don't do that. Another great resource is SAG to make sure that the agency is a SAG agency. You can do that on SAG's website. The other one, though, is to look at IMDb Pro is going to be your best friend. It's my best friend, and I have worked, I done told you I done been everything in this dang industry, but a dang whatever. Well, I have been an EP, so that's not true. But an IMDb Pro is going to be your best friend. Look them up and look up their clients, too. And I mean vet every single one of them. Every single one of them, so that you know that they are actively working. If their most famous client, how you will know is that's the first on the list. If they haven't worked since 1992, find a different agency, right? Because it's just not the place for you. Yeah. But then also, I don't know why I'm just now talking about this, network. And networking isn't this. Networking is this, right? I am sitting here talking to you today because Christian is the love of my life. Terrell is my brother from another who I adore, right? I'm networking horizontally. Like I can reach over and remind me. Jael with me. This is what networking is. Not this, and always remember that on your path. It's the people to your left and to your right that will help you versus above you.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, as you walk down your path, look to the left, look to the right,
Just the left.
And join in with them. Y'all join in with me as we applause and wrap this episode. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. Couscous, couscous. Love it, 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 love it. I love it when you couscous. Love it, 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 love it. I love it when you couscous. Love it, love, I love it, love, I love it, love, I love it when you love it, love it, love, I love it when you couscous. Love it, love, I love it, love, I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love, I love it when you couscous.